Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project, if I can service it, we'll see, is going to be this Roddy reel. And it's called a Roddy Lites. And you might wonder why they call it a Roddy Lites. Check this out. This is only the second time I've ever encountered this, and I didn't get to work on the first one. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'm really surprised that the lights still work, as old and beat up and disgusted as this reel is. First off, let's see if the anti-reverse works. It does. How about the override? Okay, anti-reverse override works, and the lights work in either function. I'm not real sure. I don't know if it's got a magneto in there or what's it's battery or what makes this thing operate. I think it's pretty cool though. For kids, that would be awesome. Let's see about the drag. Okay, it does work. Can I tighten it down? Oh yeah, oh, it's really tight, but yeah. Let's see about tripping the bail. It will trip. Takes a little effort, but it will trip. And I'm going to move the handle to the other side because that's where my preference is. It's made in China reel. And I'm looking to see if I see a model number on it anywhere. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get this reel open because it has been subjected to the elements. And if you look right here, the heads of the screws are practically gone. So I sprayed it down with some WD-40 a couple weeks back, hoping that I could get the head of the screws to become visible again. And hell, that one looks like I'll be able to do it. Let's check on this one. Maybe I can get that screw out. This one back here doesn't look so bad. All right, so let's get started on this. I'm gonna start off by taking the handle off, and let's see if this is one that's a screw through, or let's see what we got here. Yeah, it should be a screw through handle. So the handle should pull out the other side now. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a few drops of oil in here. I'll be cleaning this up with some WD-40 in a little while, but in the meantime, I want to kind of see if I can get it free flowing again. See if there's a pop out on this. It looks like it should have an oil pop out here. And no, not so far. Yeah, it's trying to pop out. There it goes. Man, that one's deep. How deep that thing goes in there. All right. And we're going to give that a few shots of oil down in there. Spin it around a little bit. And that should be okay. Let's go ahead and take the spool off. Hopefully it's not broken. Oh, look at this. That should be enough right there to keep it from working properly. And, all right. We're going to go ahead and take the clicker off for the drag. Okay, there's a spool. And I've seen worse looking drags. You know, excess line off of this. I'm going to strip that line off and put new line on if I can get this up and working good. All right. Man, that screw looks beat. Let's try adding a little light to the situation. All right. All right. That's coming out. I think I'm going to replace that one though. The head on that. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks pretty bad. So I think I'll see about replacing that. Okay, let's zoom back in. And let's go ahead now and see if we're going to be able to take these side plate screws out. Well, that's one of the two bad ones. All right, let's try the second of the two bad ones. And it's going to come out too, but I'm going to have to maintain a fair amount of force on it. There's still a lot of sand and grit down inside the head of that screw, or rust. And we're going to be replacing that one too. All right, that's got all the side plate screws out. And I believe we might be able to get this off, but I have a feeling that I've got to take the rotor off first. So let's go ahead and do that. Looks like about a 10 millimeter. Okay, it's reverse threaded. There we go. See if we can slide the rotor up and off. We can. Okay, look at this. This is the works for the light. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so it does have like a little magneto built into it. Can you see that down in there? See the little magnets down in there? So it's like it's got its own little built-in magneto, which makes this pretty heavy. It's a lot of extra weight to add to a reel to add some lights. But it works. And this apparently is the pickup magnet for it. And let's see about removing this side plate at this point. There we go. Here comes the side plate. And the bearing, okay, it's got a nice bearing on the side. And it's got shims in it. Okay, now, I told Chris the other day I was going to tell you guys to start doing this, and I still forgot to tell you. So we'll try it again on the next video. Okay, let's see if we can get this down to where we can get hold of the screw here. There we go. There it is. And we will remove the screw. Okay, I'm going to set that over here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that into the axle shaft so that that screw does not get lost. Okay, now we should be able to remove the main gear, which, man, for such a little gear, that's a nice looking gear. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, we got a blown bearing. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, I got little ball bearings laying around inside there. This bearing here has blown. This is the center of the race. And I will have to see if I can get that off and see if I can't come up with another bearing for it. You can see the outer race is still sitting inside down in there. Okay, so let's take this out. That was the crosswind block and the crosswind gear. Okay, set them over to the side. And I'm going to see if I can push that outer race out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there's the cage for the bearing laying inside. I'm really surprised we don't have chewed up teeth in here. Okay. And I've still got to try to get this off. So this will tell me what my inner race size, outer race size, and thickness is. And I'll see if I've got another bearing for this. Let's see if I can get hold of this and get it twisted off of there. Yep. Okay. But still down inside this thing are the little ball bearings. They're super tiny. I don't know if you can see them. I'm going to blow in on this. There's one right there. And another one there, and another one there, and another one there. So I'm going to have to completely dismantle this thing and make sure that all of those are out of there before we go any further with it. Okay. There does not seem to be, something seems wrong here. I believe part of the anti-reverse is missing. I'm not sure we're going to be able to fix this. I mean, if I can get that to stay up in there like that, then it will work, but for some reason, it's like it's missing something. There's no screw to lock it into place. Was there something in the cover? Oh, yeah. Okay, this locks it into place on the cover. All right, there we go. That'll fit on each side of that. All right, well, that's interesting. I haven't seen that before either. Okay, so that'll lock that in. I was going to say, because I knew it was working when we started. All right, and let's see now if we can remove this. I've got 4 screws here I've got to take out. Okay, and it looks like it will go in here with these 2 silver posts right here on either side. Okay, one more. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, this all falls out the bottom, like that. All right, and the bearing slides up in from underneath, and there's a shim washer in here, it appears. Yeah, see, there's a shim washer right there. That goes on top of the bearing. All right, this is that reluctor. And this, okay, yeah, there's only one way it can go in. Well, there's 2 ways, it looks like. Yeah. Okay. And I've got to clean this real good and get all those ball bearings out of there. I'm going to blow it out to make sure that there's none trapped hiding in there anywhere. But clean that up. That will clean up nicely. And in the meantime, we got to find out if I have a bearing to replace this one with. Okay, so let's check the outer size. Let's change that over to millimeters. All right. It's going to be a 3, which is actually the last diameter. Okay, so we want to go inside diameter, which would be this one. Okay. So that's roughly going to be 7 millimeter by 11 by 3. 7/11 by 3. All right, sports fans, I found one. 7/11 by 3. This will be my replacement bearing for these remains right here. Okay. And if you look, it fits on here just fine. Okay. Not only will it fit on there, but it also fits down in there like so. Perfect. All right. So, I got to get all these parts scrubbed up, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes. I think we've done pretty good at getting everything cleaned up now. I still have to clean the spool and the rotor, but everything else seems to be pretty clean. So let's go ahead and start getting those parts back together and see if we can figure out how all this thing goes back. All right. First thing, I believe, yeah, those screws are going to fall out of there, I'm afraid. All right, the bearing goes into this first. Okay, into the top of this. Okay, and it's been well oiled. Okay, so we'll stick it up inside there. There we go, that kind of locks it into place. Good. All right, then inside there is going to go this washer right here. All right, and then this assembly will slide in there like so. Okay, and that's got all that back together. And let's go ahead and slip the shim. That's not the one. I don't think that's the right shim. Yeah, it is. That's it. Yep, this one goes on the top right here. Okay, and that goes down inside there like so. There we go. Okay, now we can take all of this and set it back into place on here. And if you look, these posts right here have got to go into these holes. Okay, I'll set this back into place like so. And I now have two screws that have fallen out up against, one's up against the magnet, the other one's laying on the bench. Let's set this one back into place. This one push it down, this one push it down. One more. Okay, that's got those, all those setting back in there. And we'll go ahead and put the screws back in. And we're going to crisscross, tightening them down to make sure it closes down evenly. These pins should be pulling up into here. Like that. Yeah, see how the pins are? All right. Originally, I thought those were metal, but they're not. They're just painted silver plastic pins, and it's alignment for this. Okay, do not over tighten these because this is just a plastic part, and you can very easily break it if you over tighten these. So just snug them up like that. Okay. And it should turn freely. I have oiled the bearing down inside there, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put another shot of oil down in there. And we're going to come back over here and grease this pinion gear. Okay. Now we're going to grease the bottom of the carrier. Now I blew this whole thing out real good with compressed air to make sure I didn't have any little ball bearings left laying in there. Okay, now before I set this one into place, I'm going to go ahead and install my new bearing, or newer bearing, new serviceable bearing. How's that? Down inside the case. There we go. And then we'll set this gear back in place, and we'll slap it on with a little bit of grease on the back side. Once I get it in, I'm actually going to put some grease on the teeth. I like to do it this way, just kind of scrape it onto the teeth, rotate it around, scrape some more onto the teeth, like that. All right. And we're going to rotate that post around to the rear, this post right here, because the crosswind block goes on it. We're going to go ahead, put some grease on the crosswind block, and set it into place like that. All right, next to go on is going to be the main gear. And if you look, let me get my pointer. If you look right here, there's a slot. And there is a spring on the gear right there that has to go into that slot, and that's for your anti-reverse. Okay, we're going to move this anti-reverse over here out of the way into this position so that it can actually operate. And let's go ahead and put some grease on this gear. And some on I see a ball bearing I missed. Did you see it? See it right there? And I don't know if I missed that on cleanup or if it picked it up from the table. And it appears that I missed it on cleanup because it's in there really good. There it goes. Let me look again for any more. And I've got one chip in the tooth right there from a ball bearing. Okay. But I don't think that'll affect the operation of it. Besides which, it's going to be a kid's reel, and I can't get parts for it, so. And we're going to make sure that that wire fits into that slot. Like that. Okay, and if we've got it in there good. Yep, see, the anti-reverse is working. Okay. Now this should just about be done except for putting this cover on, and we've got this spring right here, and I'm trying to decide, should the spring get installed first right here, because it goes into that, around that collar right there, or should it be installed on here and then slid down around it? I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to leave it on here and have it fit down and fit around that collar. But for now, well, while I was looking for that bearing, I laid a bearing down on the table, which happened to be exactly the same size as the other side's bearing. And so I ended up with too many bearings. And so I was trying to put this together with one extra set of bearings in it, and that didn't work. So I ended up taking it all back apart to figure it out. Okay, so let's start again, and let's put this thing back together. Okay, we're going to... But we've got to get the axle shaft in first. So we're going to set this over to the side, and we're going to clean up this rotor. And most of you should only have to spray it gently and wipe it off, and it should be good. But this has got a lot of dirt and grit in it, so we're going to take this apart. And if you look right here, that's our trip lever right there. It's supposed to take and trip this up. But there's a lot of grit inside there that's going to keep it from doing what it's supposed to do. So let's start off by seeing if we can't get this screw out. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. And we're going to take this screw out now. And that leaves our trip lever. Okay, this has got the spring lever here. And then we've got, be careful with this light, you don't want to break it. Okay, but we've got this, what I call a Z-bar. It's a trip lever. And I call it a Z-bar because it's in kind of a Z shape, like that. Okay, we're going to want to clean that off. Now, I definitely don't want to hot tank this thing because of the LEDs that are in it. So I'm afraid that they might not survive that. So we're going to take and just clean this as best we can with some cotton swabs. And then we're going to put it back together. with some fresh grease. There we go. Set our Z-bar back in like that. Okay, and now let's clean off this trip lever, or this spring. Clean the old grease off. There we go. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can take this off. It looks like the screw's already loose, so that should make it reasonably easy. There we go. Okay. There comes the screw out. All right. There's the roller, which is pretty nasty looking. And the inside roll. Okay, we're going to leave that out of the way, and hopefully, yeah, we can take it off there. Okay, now we're going to take this assembly right here, and I'm going to clean it up, and then we're going to reattach it. Okay, I've got it clean. We're going to see about putting it back on, and we'll take this part right here, the spring assembly, and we're going to put it into this hole right there like that, and we're going to set this back in place with the Z-bar attachment all the way to the top, like that. There. I got the LED in the hole. Okay. Get that back down. Now let's see if we can get this to go in. Okay. Put the wire in the hole. Like so. Bring this around. Get it in place, and then we'll put the screw back in. All right, that's got one side done. Now the other side, you don't have to take it apart because there's nothing on that side. But we are going to open it up just to get the grit out of there. So let's take the screw out. Lift this off. And yeah, it's pretty gritty down in there. Now I'm going to wipe it out good. And we'll wipe the other side out good, and then take a cotton swab to it. Get the old grease out. And I'm going to spray this with a shot of WD-40, and then scrub it with a toothbrush for a minute. And I'm going to scrub this side again, and that should be sufficient. All right, now this side is weighted. It's a balance weight. So we're going to set it back in place. Put the screw in it. It could stand a little silver paint, but my can of silver paint exploded yesterday, so I had to throw it out. So it's not going to get a little bit of silver paint on that part. There we go. All right, now let's take a look at the bale wire itself. This is nasty looking. Okay, I'm going to try to clean this up with my Dremel. See if I can make it look better. Look at this poor roller. Somebody did not treat this very nice. And I'll push the plastic insert out of the middle because I don't want to tear it up as I clean it. And some of you have seen me do this before, so all right, I'm going to take this roller and I'm going to put it on an old screwdriver, and we're just going to spin it up here using the Dremel and spin it on here. All right, it's not perfect, but it looks certainly a lot better than it did. I'm going to use a wire wheel on this part over here instead of that brush, and we'll see if that cleans it up better. Okay, and I believe this is the right screw. Yes, it is. Okay, we're going to screw this one back on now. First we need to put this back in here. There we go. Then we're ready to put this back on. Okay. Wipe it out good. Okay, we're ready now to assemble this portion. Okay, we're going to slide the rotor on like so. And with that in place, we can now install the nut. And remember that it's reverse threaded. Okay, and if you remember, this screw that was in it was in such bad shape that I decided I was going to replace it. So let's see if I can find a replacement for it. Okay, I got a replacement. Okay, got that one in. Let's see now if we can get the axle shaft in. Let's pull this crosswind block out for a second. Spin this around. Get the crosswind gear back to the bottom. Like that. Set that back into place. And we're ready to reinstall the axle shaft. We've oiled it good. I'm going to slide it in with the flat side up. And the screw hole going in. There we go. Okay, let's got that in. Okay, now comes the weird part. This is the part I've never dealt with before, and that's this spring over here, getting it to go into this slot over here. It's got to go onto this collar. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Okay, right here, see the anti-reverse? See that area right there? Well, this spring has got to go over that. And then once it's over that, it also has to plug into here. So I think we're going to try to put it over that first. Like that. Now it's in there. It's in place. And now, hopefully, when we put this back in, and it's not going to go back in because the rotor's installed. Zoom this back out. Okay, we're just going to lift that off. Lift the rotor out like that so that we can put this piece back on. And it should all fit back in there snug. And then you can set this back into place if you want. Now I need to see if I can find 3 new screws. Okay, got the line off of the spool. Got it cleaned up as best it can. That stuff flakes off really bad. Okay, there's the drag clicker inside here, the little spring ratchet fellow that rides on that cog right there. And we can set that in. That's what it sounds like. That's pulling out drag. Okay. Now, it's got felt drag washers. Put the first one in, oil felt drag washers, and then the next one to go in is going to be, and we're going to clean that up. We're going to clean that up. Okay, and that one looks good. Let me clean these up real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, actually they're just tarnished. They're not rusty or anything. Okay, so we'll put the first one in. We'll put the next felt drag washer in and oil it. Then we'll install the ear drag washer. Then the last felt drag washer goes in, and then the last keyed washer goes in. Oh, I didn't oil that last one. All right, put the washer in, and we're going to snap the spring back into the groove. They weren't messing around with this spring. They put one in there that wasn't going to pop out on its own, that's for sure. All right, there we go. Everything's in the groove. There we go. Wipe off the drag knob, put it on. There we go. Put our handle back on. And remember, we lubed it at the beginning. Put the knob back on. Tighten it down. Okay, there we go. And it is not the nicest reel in the world, but some kid will actually dig on this pretty well. Oh, we're missing something. Remember, we took this off to oil down inside here. We haven't put it back. So let's go ahead and see about, and I put it in backwards. Of course I did. I had a 50-50 shot. Of course I put it in backwards. Okay, turn it around and put it back in. There we go. Anti-reverse works, drag works. Bail still doesn't like to trip all that well. Well, depends on where you trip it from. Okay. Okay. The turns fine. Anti-reverse is working. Anti-reverse override works. The lighting works. The drag works. And the bail trips. So all I got to do is put me some 8-pound test on there, and this one's ready to go on a kid's ride. I hope you like the video. This one's has been really disjointed because it's awkward the way this thing goes together, and having to replace that bearing in the side and adding this extra bearing into my pile really messed me up. So I do hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. For now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.